Hello and welcome to another episode of the BOU Connects podcast. Here, we break down the complex world of economics, finance, and central banking into easy to digest and relatable conversations. My name is Pumla Nabachwa and I'm your host. Today, we're diving into something that all of us think about at the start of the year: New Year resolutions. But in typical central bank style, we will focus on just the financial resolutions. When it comes to finance, we are your people. So let's be real. Many of us set financial goals or financial resolutions, but how many of us really stick to them? My guest today is here to make sure that we all do. So today I am joined by the beautiful, the lovely, the brilliant Mrs. Rita Karungi Butime. She's a team lead here at Bank of Uganda, and she's responsible for coordinating and monitoring the progress of the National Financial Inclusion Strategy in Uganda. Many words to mean that her interests lie in the fact that you can use and access financial services, you as Ugandans. Isn't that so?
Yes, very well said.
She's also a financial literacy trainer. Welcome to the podcast, Rita.
Thank you, Pumla. Glad to be here.
It's really good to have you here.
Thank you very much.
I prefer to call her Karungi, so let me go with that. How has your year started?
The year is, it's on to a good start, starting with a podcast. But yes, we're back to serious work after the whole December rest and all. So it's quite intimidating, but it's all right. We have to get back to serious business.
We're tucking in our stomachs more than we should. From December eating.
Yes.
Yeah, so this episode is airing in February, but a lot of it stems from the fact that we tend to make more of our resolutions in January. Yeah? So why do you think that is? Why do you think that we tend to set our financial goals in January? And then we set at the beginning of the year, but for some reason, most of us fail to stick to them.
Thank you, Pumla. Today we come with a very important topic on financial goal setting. Maybe I'll start by defining what a financial goal looks like. It's some sort of objective that you have as a person. And the only difference is that now this is in terms of money. You want to know how much you're earning, how much you're spending, and is there any left to save? So this is why January is very important, because we've spent all we made, I would like to assume, for the previous year. Oops. But now we are starting, and we want to start the journey for 2025 with our financial goals. So January gives us that fresh start, or like fresh page of a new book going forward. So that's why I feel it's very important for us at the beginning of the year to set our financial tone for the rest of the year, because most of our challenges stem from lack of money. That's where we struggle for our day-to-day living.
This is true.
Yes, and most of us fail to stick to our financial plans because sometimes we make unrealistic plans. Sometimes you don't even make plans at all. Many of us just wing it through the year, and you find unexpected expenses taking the day. The bulk of our expenses are unexpected. So we need to do better and set specific financial goals for the year.
Okay. I get the unrealistic part, and I think I have fallen victim to the unrealistic. And I think this is what happens when you set unrealistic goals. Usually, you find yourself in a place where it's not working out, and then you just abandon the goal altogether.
Correct.
Not so much that I feel like yes, you might be able to set an unrealistic goal, but like come March, when we see that it is not going where we want it to go,
yes,
we don't just power it. We can maybe alter as we go along.
And modify. Yes.
As we go along.
Yes.
So I feel like we just usually pour and wait
And just
for the next
give
year.
up, yeah.
And we're like, okay, that one hasn't worked.
Maybe next year we try again.
Maybe next year we'll do better.
Yeah.
And you're right, you know that most of our resolutions, even the non-financial one, most things rotate around money. When you don't have money,
you have no plans.
Problems. So I like that you defined what financial goals are. And I think you'd agree with me that financial goals, a big part of financial planning is budgeting.
That's true.
Budgeting meaning keeping track of your
income
and
your expenses.
Great. We went to the same class.
That is true.
We went to the same class.
A true definition of a financial literacy trainer. The basics. Yes.
So maybe could you share with our viewers some practical tips on how to create and stick to a budget in a typical Ugandan or African household?
Okay, maybe to make it palatable for all of us to understand, a budget is a simple tool that we use in financial management, where you're identifying your expenses, keeping track of your income, knowing exactly which income sources that you have. You name them one by one. For those that have multiple, for those that have one, you need to know exactly what you get while you list down your expenses. And in budgeting, it's important to sort your expenses. We have needs. These are things that we can't do without. For example, food. If you don't eat, you'll die. And then you must have clothing, you must have housing, you must have medical. And then on the other side, you're looking at wants. These are things that we would like to have, but will not die if we don't have them. For example, if you don't go out to eat, which is the latest restaurant in Kampala, Hero, the Japanese one.
Oh, yes.
If you don't go to Hero, you will not die. But if you don't eat at home, then you'll not survive. So budgeting involves us understanding our income, our expenses, and sorting them between the needs and the wants. And then making sure that you stick to sorting out your needs first before the wants. And also in budgeting, we'll introduce something we call a term that's very common to all of us called savings. So savings is that portion of your income that you put aside for a rainy day. I like to say it in Uganda. We normally call it ebigwa bitalaze, emergencies. So saving for that day that you don't see coming, but once it comes, it's really devastating.
So I have a rule that I go by. I know it's not a practiced, but I've practiced this rule and it's really worked wonders for me. My rule of thumb when it comes to budgeting is what we call a 50-30-20 rule. So for me, like 50% goes to needs. And needs meaning the basic needs. And I think we were speaking in our WhatsApp group recently, and we realized that because people like this KB of, but how come our parents managed those days and yet they never used to earn even as much as we are earning now? And I explained to them that the needs bracket has broadened.
Today?
That
is correct.
There was a time when they were just food, shelter, clothing. And you're okay.
Yes.
But right now, security is a need.
Yes.
Literally.
Yes.
Data, mobile phones are a need. Some people think they are not, but they are not. Rita is in financial inclusion, and they are the ones who are closest to this FinScope survey.
Yes.
86% of Ugandans, as per the last survey, 2023,
yes,
had mobile phones. 86%.
And guess what? A mobile phone is a very important tool for us in financial inclusion because it opens up access to finance.
Yes.
You're able to make payments. Yes. You're able to open an account. Yeah. We actually count a mobile money account as somebody who has access to financial services. So you see, the needs have evolved over time. A mobile phone is a necessity right now. Yes. And like maybe take us back, the days of our parents, we used to hear stories of them walking to school barefooted. Shoes were not a need then. Can you send your child to school without shoes today?
Isn't that abuse now?
You see?
It's abuse.
Yes, so needs have evolved.
And
they're also different for different people. What is a need to me, Pumla, is not a need to you. what looks like a need is a luxury for another person. So we need to know on a personal level what is a need for you and what is a want for you.
That is true. And that's why I like the fact that they call it personal financial management, because it is literally personal.
Yes.
You have to tailor your rules of thumbs to yourself, your lifestyle, and it takes time, but you get there.
Yes.
So yes, understand what your needs are and allocate 50% to that.
To the need.
To the need. Don't buy a car to take you to work, yet you have nowhere to sleep.
You know?
Yeah, allocate 50%. 30% is to wants, the luxuries. Those restaurants, the Japanese restaurants that they talk about, those new places in town, the shoes, the trendy shoes that people like, that Fenty makeup.
And we also need that, because you work so hard, and you must reward yourself to a certain level.
I totally agree. Then 20% savings and investment. Yeah. And by the way, as you grow and you strengthen your financial planning muscle, that 30% and 20% flips.
It does.
I feel like more people do want to save more. And I've had this coming from many people that we really want to save more. We want to save more, but how do we start? And saving at the start of the year is crazy work. It's tricky, sensitive conversation, because I feel like we've all come out from spending season of December. Then we enter January, our money is a little bit finished. Yes. Then we dive into February, school fees week. Correct. So I feel like January and February are like broke months. Yes. And yet we still insist on save even at the lowest. Yes. So do you have maybe tips or advice for people who are trying to save both during highs and lows?
So maybe I'd like to mention that financial discipline is a personal decision that you make. So despite the season, you need to stay committed to this decision that you've made. So January being difficult, just know everybody is feeling what you're feeling. So, but we have to stick to the plan. So we decide how much we need to put aside despite the season, and you push through. What we need to do is cut back on certain expenses that we said are not really needs. Focus on the needs and start now. Start small. Nobody is saying start with obscene amounts. Where you are is where you should start. And I think it's important to start even when things are extremely tight. That is when you build resilience, financial resilience. You'll know that despite the season, we have to start where we are. So one of the things you could do is automate your savings, find a way to have a consistent deduction. When I undertook the financial literacy training course by the Bank of Uganda, I made a personal choice to start saving. And what was the easiest way was to join circles, we have a circle at work. So I immediately enrolled into that, or you get an investment club, and know that every part, every time I earn, it is deducted, either automatically, because first I started out by withdrawing and then physically depositing it on the other side. That became hard. Sometimes I would keep it in my bag and then it disappears. So you could automate and put some certain instructions maybe to your source of income and say this goes here and this goes here. And then you don't actually feel it. It no longer becomes part of the income. It goes at source. They call it at source.
Yes. Deduct at source.
Deduct at source. Yeah. So it's important to help us get into the discipline of saving.
I think that's one of the most important ones and I think that works best for salaried
people. Yes, yeah. It makes it easier.
People who have a salary.
But even when you're not on a salary and you have an account with a financial institution, you can always do a standing order where the financial institution deducts on a particular date. There are certain forms that banks have where you feel
Yes,
and a
yes,
certain
yes.
date every month
Every
that
month.
money is deducted.
Yeah. Actually, that's true.
And you become really disciplined, because if you don't,
Because
there's
that
a
money
penalty.
has to be there.
Yes, they will
Actually,
penalize you for
and
that.
I'll hear a lot like non-salaried earners always saying, but for us, our money is not consistent. It comes high, it comes low. And this is what I always advise non-salaried people. From January to December, you must take note of your cycle. There is a cycle. It exists.
For everybody,
For everybody,
that is true.
there is a cycle. It exists. You just need 1 year to understand when are my lows and when are my highs. When you put a standing order, there's going to be a time when you have a high and that money is there.
Yes.
But now you want to spend it.
Yes.
So when that high is there, but you've automated.
Yes. It will
let it just
automatically
go. Let it automatically go. Yeah. So we usually talk about that deducting from source, and we call it save as soon as you earn. What do you think about saving as soon as you earn?
There's something about money dropping into your account that causes a lot of havoc naturally. I would like to give you an example of a friend of mine. I'll not mention their name, but every time salary came, they became disorganized. They could not do anything until the money is gone, and then they'll settle down. So earning as soon as you earn is very important before everything else is spent, because we are saving now for a time in the future when we may not be able to earn, or when something happens as an emergency that you totally did not see coming. So saving as soon as you earn is a very, very important financial discipline.
That I take, and it's easy for us who they can just deduct. Me, I'm here. We have a flow of accounts. They just take and take my money, and I don't have to think about it much.
It doesn't. You actually don't feel it. You don't feel it.
But there's people who get these people of deals. These influencers, social media influencers, content creators, brand influencers, where money just comes out of the blue. Windfalls. And you don't know when the next one is coming or how much. Save as soon as you earn. It doesn't matter what. Rainy day, not every time car wash people, not every time car wash sondaring for people. Harambe, not every time. Sometimes also you have where you start from. Okay, that's harambe, but with a foundation.
Because everybody is dealing with so much. So let's make it easy for us to,
Okay, now let's talk about growing money. Now we've talking about saving money, and let's talk about growing money. What's your take on investments, and maybe what advice would you give to, or tips would you give to Ugandans that want to start investing in 2025?
So, like you said, investment is a term we use to refer to growing of our money. So what comes to my mind, or what we normally tell Ugandans about investment, is that, first of all, the most important thing is the money available at your disposal. How much money do you have? And what's your risk appetite? Are you somebody who takes on big risks? Are you someone who's risk averse? Availability, do you have time to sit and see your investment grow, or you're somebody who needs a hands-off kind of investment vehicle? Or are you somebody who has a passion or a talent? Like Pumla is now a fully fledged content. We call her celebrity, And by the way, Pumla, thank you for this podcast. I like that it's really taking shape and reaching so many Ugandans. So use your God-given talent or passion and skill to look for investment ideas. So the amount of money, the risk you're willing to take on, and the passion and your availability. Don't be an office person and you want to take on a retail business where you're not. You lose all your money. Yes.
Do you have an experience you want to share with us?
Speaking from experience, where you're not able to track what is coming in and what is coming out in real time. Stay away from that one. Yeah.
And typical central bank, I will tell you without even missing a step: treasury bills and bonds.
Government securities.
Government securities. It is the first When you're not sure what you want to do, you know, many of you have this thing of, oh, Mr. Gondi started a piggery. They are getting money. He's rich. Let me also do piggery.
Yeah,
the other ones opened a mobile money shop. Let me also open a mobile money shop. The other one is doing chicken farming. Let me also do chicken farming. I think let me also jump in.
Yes.
Let me tell you guys, there is a period where you don't know what you want to do, and it's okay.
It's okay not to know.
It's okay not to know.
It's okay not to have a passion.
It's okay not to have a passion. You may not have discovered it yet.
A talent.
God gave us talents.
I know, but it's self-discovery. Maybe somebody has not discovered. Yeah, you haven't yet discovered what it is.
Yes. Maybe you've not yet discovered what your talent is, what your passion is. Maybe you're still in that phase of, you know, that 20s are tumultuous time. You're in that phase of self-discovery, and you're trying to find out what works for me, what doesn't. There's a period there where, let me tell you, you must go for the safest investment option. Treasury bills and bonds, government securities.
I know we sound like a radio every time we're having public engagements on TV, on radio, and we're talking about government securities. But government securities are safe. They are very, they don't require your time. So all you need is your commercial bank.
Yeah.
They set up for you an account, and you start lending money to the government while making money.
Imagine.
You don't even have to do anything.
But all you need is 100,000 Uganda shillings.
That's you can sleep while your money grows.
Yeah. And if you follow us on, you know, every time we tell you people to follow us on our social media platforms, you think we just want numbers. It's not about that. We are trying to educate you.
Yes.
We've been, for the month of January, I know this episode is going to air in February, but for the month of January, we've been trying to share with you resources on treasury bills and bonds, on investment, on savings, investment, planning, budgeting.
Yes.
And if you want to know more about treasury bills and bonds, please go to the Bank of Uganda website. That's www.bou.or.ug, and find so much information about lending money to the government. Imagine you become an investor. The government is here.
No one will ever cheat your money. No, the government will never cheat you.
Contrary to popular belief, the government is the one body that pays back each and every time. Yeah. So now that we've gone through the good parts, planning, budgeting, saving, investment. Now let's go to real life. What are the common mistakes that people make when trying to set financial goals?
Top of the head is getting loans, unplanned loans. People are borrowing to survive. That is the number one mistake that we're making.
Loans.
Somebody gets a loan and they want to buy a luxurious car. That is very, very wrong, you know. The other mistake is people want to get rich quick. Somebody here has a pyramid scheme. The one chicken in?
What was it called?
Capital
you guys
chicken?
Must know. What is that? What is that thing called?
Capital chicken.
I knew they would know. I knew. Capital chicken.
So and this is mostly for Gen Zs. You know, they want to make money real quickly, or even millennials. Our parents
all of us now, millennials and below.
We want to get that money real quick, yet they took so many years to, you know, reach where they were. So people want to hop onto these buses. You want to earn very big amounts in a very short time. That's one of those terrible mistakes that we make.
Yeah. So, so if we are talking about things that we should avoid in 2025, you said taking on
bad loans, unplanned loans. You don't even know how you repay. And yet we all know that loan money is not free money.
It's not free money. And it's not cheap money.
And it's not cheap. So you must have a solid plan on how you're going to pay back and what that loan is going to do for you. Okay, so let's plan. Borrowing is not bad. That's what we're saying. It's not bad. But you must have planned for it. And you must know how to pay and how it's going to help you enhance. It must be helping you make more money. Make more money. Yeah, that's when it makes sense. For you to take a loan, it must be helping you make more money. More money. Okay. Two, if it is too good to be true. Too good to be true. It possibly is always a red flag. Yeah, there's a red flag there. Get rich quick schemes.
We're not doing those anymore.
No, we're not.
We're
in
not doing those
2025.
In 2025, we're not doing that
We're leaving
anymore.
them behind.
We're leaving them behind.
Yes.
Okay. I have a third one.
Tell me.
I had alluded to it earlier. I think one of the biggest mistakes we make is failing to plan for emergencies.
Oh,
You
yes.
mentioned it at the beginning, but
Yes.
I think it's one of the most underrated financial goals.
That is
Having
true.
a fund that is there for just because we don't know.
We don't know the future.
We don't know.
It's unknown to us.
It's
One of
unknown
those
to
things
us.
God has kept
Yes.
close to his
It's
chest.
unknown to us. COVID happened. I feel like this conversation was not easily digestible pre-COVID.
Yes.
But after COVID happened,
Now we know.
Now we know,
We know.
that the world can stop for a year.
A year or 2 years? Children didn't go to school.
Children
for
didn't
2
go to
years.
school.
Yes, and maybe Pumla, that should be a topic for another day where we
Yeah.
look at insurance that
Yeah,
covers
okay.
us for the
Yeah.
future
So-
that's unknown.
Okay, so let's move on to a part of the podcast, a segment of the podcast that I really, really like. And this is where we discuss audience submitted responses. Okay. So again, if you follow us on our socials, you'll know that we sent out a question, can I say? And we asked our audiences to submit their 2025 financial resolutions. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you once again for coming in strong, because people responded and gave such a whole range and diverse, in the comment section was just bubbling.
Good
and
to
I
know
was
people are
so people are interested. Yeah, people are so interested. So I just want to read a few. There were so many. So what we did was I just picked out a few of the common ones. We're restricted by time as well. But here are a few common ones. So the top common one was, this year I want to save and invest more. But I think we answered that previously. We spoke about that previously. We had Kawoya Frank, Minochu Andrew, Ochan 60. There were so many people. So we've spoken about savings and investment earlier in the episode. We had a lot of people also asking about the process of investing in treasury bills and bonds. And we've also spoken about this.
Yeah.
We shared a step-by-step guide on our socials. So you can go and check on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on X, on Instagram, on how to invest, the process of investing in treasury bills and
Lending
bonds.
money to the
Lending
government.
money to the government. Yeah, you see, I tell you guys to follow us, but you don't listen. So maybe Karungi will help us answer maybe just two of the next common ones, one of which was, I want to take a loan. So I know that we have spoken about the unnecessary and unplanned loans. Yeah. But let's speak to the person who wants to take a loan for a planned purpose and a loan that is going to bring them more income.
Okay, that's a very good question. I like that you want clarity on what you need to do if you have to take a loan. Loans are not bad. Maybe we need to clarify that. Loans are there to aid us grow our money. People in business, no one, there are some that grow their businesses without loans, but you need that extra boost of money to push you to the next level. So what you need to, the first steps are recognize the need. Why do you need to take a loan? What exactly is this loan going to do for you? And the other thing, we encourage people to shop around. We have so many financial services providers in the market. So shop around for the best interest rates, shop around for the best payment terms that serve you as an individual, not your neighbor, you as an individual. And then have a plan on how you're going to pay back this money. We said earlier on that a loan is not free money. It has to be paid back and on the terms agreed with the lender. That's what would come to mind for potential borrower.
That's for potential borrower.
Yeah.
Okay. And Bank of Uganda, actually, we publish a biannual charges sheet for supervised financial institutions.
Yes,
so go to the Bank of Uganda website as well.
And maybe to add on to that, the Bank of Uganda has two specific loans that we administer to the public. One is the agricultural credit facility for people in agriculture and want to add value to their produce. This you can get through your bankers, the financial institutions that are participating in the agricultural credit facility. The other is the Small Business Recovery Fund that the government put in place after the COVID for businesses that were affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. So all these are more information I think we have on our website. You can be able to pick from the Bank of Uganda website.
Actually, yeah, that's a good catch. So I think if you want more information, you can go to any commercial bank and ask them. Sometimes they might want to sell their product more than ours. But if you go with full information and you have your information in your fingertips, they'll respond to you. So start with the Bank of Uganda website, find out what the agricultural credit facility is and what the criteria is. And if you fit the criteria, what the requirements are, then also check the Small Business Recovery Fund. Yeah, and then go to the commercial bank armed with information so that they can respond to you. Yeah. Thank you, Karungi. That was on loans. Another one which was so popular, actually more popular than the loan one, was I want to start a side hustle or business or expand my business. Yeah, what tips could you give?
Well, like we had already discussed, when it comes to investment, you have to be clear about certain things about you, the potential investor. What are your passions? What do you like? What are the things that you'll be interested in? We've spoken about this where people are forcefully putting money in ventures that don't interest them and eventually they lose money. So we must know what we want. What's your risk appetite? Are you somebody who just enjoys that adrenaline rush of investing in high risk investments, or you're a toned down version who just wants to do very calm business where the markets are not volatile, you're getting fixed income for a period of time? So those are the things that we need to consider before we actually invest in a business. Yeah. And the time allocated. Do you have the time to run the business? If you don't have it, then you're better off doing treasury bills and bonds.
For now.
For now.
Until you're ready to
Until
grow.
you're ready.
And you feel more comfortable.
Grow.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I think that wraps up pretty much this podcast, but I can't do that without you maybe sharing with us your final remarks.
My final remarks to our listeners is that cash is king. We need to know that we have to manage our cash flows. Without having control of our cash flows, we'll be very miserable people. And I like to give this example of the borders where we live in our villages. These people are kings because they have money every day. They're liquid, You don't want to be in a situation where you've invested all your money in fixed assets, and when you need to take your child to the hospital, you're unable to pay for a medical bill, but you have money stuck up in fixed assets. So as we set our financial goals, let's also look at our investment choices, try to mix it up to know that when I have a challenge, I'm able to get money here and money there without much struggle. Yeah. That's what I would tell our listeners.
Okay. I've taken from that. Many of us have things in assets. And I think people always wonder why. How is it that they are closing down that rich man's thing? That man is so rich. Yes. How come?
But the man cannot buy salt.
He can't buy salt.
Yes.
Because a lot of his money is tied up in fixed assets, which are not very easy to liquidate.
Yes.
Or
so
turn into
liquidity,
cash.
Money for today is very, very important. And it's part of our financial management, mixing it up to know that I'm able to take care of my day-to-day needs. Yeah.
Okay. But Karungi, before we came onto camera, you had told me that you didn't want to be referred to as Karungi. Then I forgot. So I thought you were going to correct me in the middle, but I totally forgot.
No, I think it's the cameras, coming onto the cameras that confused me. But yeah, Pumla, for a long time, and this is to the people that have known me for a very long time, I've been calling people called me Karungi from when I was in primary 1.
Yeah.
And now that I'm older, I've decided to reclaim my name back. Yeah. I am Karungi.
Karungi.
Not Karungi.
Yeah.
Yes.
But do you think it's an influence
English.
Is it English or Buganda?
It's a mix of things.
It's
a mix of English, Buganda setting, southwestern, southwest that has Karungi.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Okay. You are Mutoro.
Mutoro. Yes.
So Batoro, their G. Their G is G.
Karungi. Yes.
So, but there are parts of Western Uganda, southwestern Uganda.
Yes.
Which is G.
Yes.
Okay, so maybe that's where the confusion comes from.
So for a long time I played along, but now I'm tired. Let me reclaim my name back.
Let me tell you, 2025, you see, people are setting boundaries.
Goals.
People are refusing things that people had put on them for decades.
Yeah.
Now they are no longer Karungi, they are Karungi. Yeah, and I take it completely.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Karungi, for your practical tips on setting and managing financial goals. I really love the flow and the ease with which you have disseminated the information. I'm sure that everybody who's listening in feels better equipped,
I hope so.
To start this year at least stronger.
Yes.
Yeah.
And end stronger as well.
Because usually when you start strong, chances are much higher that you will end strong.
Yes.
Yeah.
And maybe as we prepare for the end of year where we spend a lot of money, let's put aside money for that. So that we don't feel it when it comes. We will spend it because from January, we have been putting money aside to enjoy December.
Guys, December planning should start in January. Start it now.
Yes.
December 2025.
Now,
enjoyment
we are putting money aside.
Start putting money aside now.
Yes.
The girl is still oozing wisdom, but we must let her go.
Yeah.
We must let her go. So to you, our audience, remember, financial success is not about big steps and big money. It is more about small and consistent steps. Yeah? So I find that when you're consistent, regardless of how much you're putting aside or how little you're putting aside, you'll reach financial success much faster because that's how financial discipline and resilience are formed. If you have found this episode helpful, don't forget to like, to comment, and to share with a friend. Don't forget to subscribe to the Bank of Uganda YouTube channel and follow us on all our social media platforms for more insights and financial tips and advice. Until the next time that BOU Connects, goodbye.
Bye.